G'day everyone, well on to part 2 of the repair of this washing machine. I got the rest of the bits for it which weren't actually on it when I first got it, including the door boot seal, the soapbox tray, the lid of the machine and the hoses, so I can finally put this machine back together and give it a test. While I wasn't rolling film, I actually took the base off and gave it a big clean up. It was kind of filthy, and it still sort of is. That's all grease on it, so that won't actually come off. But these things have actually got gel inside them, and they're very stiff, and they're like dampers basically. They just pull up and down, and as they're doing that, they're removing kinetic energy from the drum while it's moving in the machine. But I've got to put that back on. I also had that off with the drain pump, which is hanging there as its filter and everything. But yeah, all of this is all still good, so is that. It's just that drum's noisy, which is not now, so I can finally put this machine back together and get it working. And yeah, that clacking noise is just the agitator fins are a bit loose in their mounting. Well, there's the drain pump and base back on. It pays to have a cordless drill when doing something like this because there is an awful lot of screws holding this base frame on. This is actually the main support for the entire machine's casing, because when I took that off, the outer casing actually flopped around a bit because it had no ends on it. So be aware of that as well if you do pull a machine apart like I have. It can, if you're not careful with it, it will come apart quite easily. But getting all this sort of stuff on is fairly straightforward. I'm guessing some sort of pressure switch, but that just goes up there like that. That goes on the bottom of the drum and goes into there for the, I'm guessing it's that joins on with that as well, so it's some sort of air gap or something. But that's the, that goes on the bottom, that's the main drain port. There's the two shock absorbers, springs and everything, but always make sure that solenoids are empty or not got any water in it when you pull a machine apart, because they do tend to leak out a bit like they're doing now, and you don't want it getting into the electronics, which it's always good to keep the wet parts separate from the dry parts so that you don't get any contamination. But that's heating element, that goes down the bottom as well. It's fairly straightforward actually. These just go in there like that. That's cold, which goes in there, and hot goes on the other side, like so. And then those join onto the soapbox, which goes up there. But I've got to put all that in once the drum's in place, which is the next step. Okay, the drum's now back in and connected up. Took a fair bit of effort because I had to actually lift it in and support it on one of those bricks, which was just sitting down in there, and so I could get all of the drain pump connected back up and the springs on. I actually had to lift one side up and just push them on because they've got their little hook on the end just holding the it just holds on. And then down the bottom there's the two vibration dampers which have got a pin through them, which I actually had to bash back in. But it went in surprisingly easily actually. It didn't take that much effort to get it in. But it is sitting up a bit high at the moment just because it hasn't got its counterweights on yet. But when I put them on, it will drop down a bit. And this is one of the, this is the biggest of the counterweights, and it weighs about 7 or 8 kilos. It's quite heavy. And that's just the smallest one. That sits on the top, so that can go on last. But drum's now connected up and in. All I've got to do is put the pulley on and the motor, connect all that up, put the soapbox back in, and it should be ready for a test. I'm going to leave this cover off until I know it's completely working. I'll also have to do a check for leaks as well, make sure it doesn't leak water everywhere, because even though I did torque those screws up down the bottom, I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but it was actually leaking after it got that bit of wire stuck in it, so I'm not sure if something's cracked in it. But the minute I see water coming out of this thing, that's the end of it. I'll just leave it till next time I'm over here, because I'll leave tomorrow, so I'll just have to wait till then to pull it apart again and get some of the bits out of it. Well, I've learnt the hard way that in order to get the front counterweight on the drum, you do have to take the front off the machine. But it's actually fairly simple to get it off on these models anyway. There's 2 clips up the top here and a bunch of screws down the bottom. You take all those out and you can just drop it down and pull it off. So it's not too much work. But yeah, there's a look at the inside of it. And also give a bit of a tour of the options on this machine. You've got your, that's your spin, so how fast you want it. If you've got it, they actually say if you have a heavy load in your machine, set it to 800 or slightly faster because of the harmonics of it spinning up. It'll go through a phase of being horribly out of balance, but then as it spins up faster, it will get even more, more balance and less vibration. But you can choose 8, 6, 4, no spin, or rinse, hold. So if you just want to hold its rinse cycle, that's your temperature. I would not recommend setting it to that because it will burn out your heating element. But we always set ours to cold. And you got door lock, which is a pain in the ass because the idea is to open the door while it's at full spin cycle and throw something like a brick in it, which is kind of funny. And you got it's your rapid, so if you just want to do one quick, like a 5-minute wash, then you set it to that. It's just start and your pause. And then that's for your different clothes that you're in there, like your wool, your delicate, synthetic, coloureds, whatever. And the good thing about this is I can test its spin and its pump. So put something like a wet towel in it and spin it up faster and just see how well balanced it still is, despite the fact I've had the whole thing apart. And also pump, so I can test whether the drain pump's working or not, which is down there. Well, there's the main drive pulley on. Doesn't take that much effort to get one of these on. You just put the pulley on first, then do the nut up finger tight, then put a socket the same size over and just bash that with a hammer. And that's all you need to do to tighten it. Of course, you don't over tighten these because you'll strip the thread on the shaft, and you don't want to do that because you'll stuff your washing machine up. But now that that's on, I can get this motor on, which is a bit bizarre type of motor for the fact that it does not run on AC power. I put some power through the variac to it, and the shaft just twitches very fast, but it won't spin despite the fact you try to spin it. It just hums and twitches. And I did try putting power through a car battery to it, and it did the same thing, but this time it would, obviously some sort of magnetic field was being produced because the shaft would turn and stop, and it'd be very hard to turn it over. So I'm guessing it's some kind of frequency motor. It's obviously some sort of DC, like a sine wave or something, but in DC form would be passed through this to make it turn over, but I have no idea. It's a bizarre type of motor. But next step is to get that on and wire it all up. Fortunately, I don't actually have any Loctite to put on these bolts, but it's not too important. It's not affecting the performance of the machine or anything, so it's not really necessary. But so it's nice and tight to get the ratchet onto them. Set to go the right way. And I'll fit the belt. jumper screws so it's not on the rusty, the outer two that are rusty, but that's all together. Next step will be to just cable tie that up there and fit this in. Stuff the terminals back in, make sure they're all secure, tie that, and put the door boot seal in. Should be ready for a spin. Well, after all that work, machine is all together and it is working well. All I've got to do is just put the top cover on and the back cover, and it should be ready to go into my uncle's house. There is a big twist to it, which you'll probably see in the next video. It does something very funny, but it is working. I didn't bother, or I couldn't really video the testing it because my camera ran out of battery, but I sort of just got on and did it, but it is working. Thanks for watching. Leave any comments, whatever. Yeah, thanks for watching.